Hi, my name's Leah Anderson and it's my pleasure to present this next session in our Small Business Big Impact program. Today we're joined by Giovanna Lever of the Sparrowley Group, who will be presenting a session on business planning fundamentals. Giovanna Lever's first experience of business was a child working on her family's vegetable farm in Bundaberg. Mentored by her father, she supported the operations of the family agribusiness. So business became a way of life for her, as natural as sleeping and breathing. From brand marketing and positioning product development through mentoring and training, Giovanna is well known for building and transforming brands into sustainable business models. With 20 years experience working as an integrated commercial marketer in tourism, hospitality, entertainment and sport, Giovanna has held the Director of Marketing for the Intercontinental Sydney Double Bay, leading the successful opening of the hotel. As a senior member of Tourism Australia, led the business event strategy. As a key member of the commercial team at Australian Rugby Union, was responsible for driving awareness and engagement with the Australian rugby brand. She began Sparrowley Group with a clear vision to create a better workforce for the future. She has been at the helm of high-profile projects across all disciplines for destinations, businesses and brands across Australia, including the Hawkesbury, Destination New South Wales, Cradle Coast, Cradle Coastal Authority, Macadamias Australia, Interwest Neighbour Aid, Bundaberg Tourism, Ingenia Communities, City of Karratha, City of Shepparton and the Star Gold Coast. As well as providing strategy and consultation for large and small business, she runs impactful leadership and development and reflective mentorship programs. These have previously been used by Virgin Australia, Reserve Bank of Australia, Hamilton Island and Bundaberg Tourism, as well as small to medium-sized businesses that need support to survive. As this is a pre-recorded session, Giovanna will be available to answer questions and answers by using the chat function throughout the duration of her presentation. No need to wait until the end of the session. This recording will also be made available on this platform for another 3 months duration should you wish to share with clients and colleagues who weren't able to join us today. This session is proudly sponsored by Business Port Stephens.
Hello everybody and thank you for having me today. Today's webinar is on business planning fundamentals. So let's break down what we're covering today. We're going to touch on some common business planning mistakes. Then we're really going to be unpacking the business model canvas and its 9 elements across desirability, feasibility, viability. Importantly, this is about getting your thoughts out of your head and into a practical plan that you can build from as you grow into a sustainable business that can withstand the tough times. Hands up if you've got lots of stuff in your head and need to get it down on paper and make some sense of it. I'm sure there's lots of hands going up right now, and that's essentially what we're going to get through today. Now, we want to do this by giving you a shared language and tools for describing, visualizing, assessing, and changing your business model. So let's get into it. If you haven't heard of the business model canvas before, let me introduce you to it. The canvas we'll be looking at was developed by a software company, Strategyzer, and it essentially is a business model which describes the rationale of how an organisation creates, delivers, and captures value. It's open source, which means anyone can use it. There are lots of books and articles written about it and how to use it. We use it at Sparrowley Group for our own business and the organisations that we consult and businesses we mentor. Essentially, a business model describes the rationale your business creates, delivers, and captures value. Too often, we have seen business plans that are so long and vague and don't really tell the reader anything useful or concrete. It's just not practical. I'm sure someone in your business journey has said to you, have you got a business plan? And you've either had an oh crap moment, yeah, but I haven't looked at it moment, or I have no idea how to or where to start. Don't worry, we've all been through that. Now, detailed business plans are important if they are relevant and practical, but oftentimes it's a business owner thinking they're doing the right thing, downloading the government template for business plans and filling in the blanks without any real thought process or research. This process that we are about to show you is an important part of the planning process, and one of the fundamental steps to ensuring your business planning is watertight. So let's talk about some common business planning mistakes that we've seen over the years, which you really need to avoid if your business is going to be a viable long-term business. Now, these include having unrealistic financial projections, not defining the reader. Is it internal only or external for visitors or government support? Not doing enough research. Hiding your weaknesses. If you're not strong in a certain area, it's important to highlight this as part of what you will do to help counteract this and help your business to thrive. We're not all perfect at everything. Including too much information that is just simply waffle and has no real relevance or practical application. No focus on your competition. Superficial definition of the target or customers. For the record, let me just tell you right now, everyone's not your customer. Underestimating business risks, or worse, thinking none exists. As we all know, there is risk in everyday life of running business. And finally, just not having one in the first place. So in plotting out your business model canvas, it allows you to get clear on your business promise. Now let's have a look at the canvas more closely. There are 9 boxes or building blocks which identify the desirability, the feasibility and viability of your business. We start with the right-hand boxes of customer segments, value proposition channels and customer relationships. Essentially, does the customer want it? We then move to the left-hand boxes of key resources, key activities and key partners. What that means is, can we build it? And the 2 remaining boxes of revenue streams and cost structures look to the viability of your business and answers, well, should we build it? All right, now let's get into mapping out your business model canvas. Let's start now with your customer segments. Now, if you're madly scribbling away, that's fine, but don't worry, we are actually going to provide all these resources as part of you participating in this webinar, which will also include a business model canvas template. So, customer segments. These are the different groups of people or organisations we aim to reach and serve. So in most cases, you may define one or several large or small customer segments. As a business owner, you need to make a conscious decision on the segments that you want to serve and those that you can't. Customer groups can represent separate segments if their needs require or justify a distinct user, they've reached through different channels, they require different types of relationships, you offer different value propositions, or they're willing to pay for different services. Now, a way to do this is by knowing your customer and what they need, not what you think they need. So think of your customers like a friend. So you wouldn't treat them all the same, right? Like being a good friend, think about your customers in terms of what their needs are and how you can help them. And just like a friend, communicate regularly with them. It builds trust and connection with your business and brand. So always focus on the customer and their needs. Talk to your customers with their needs front of mind. And that's the only way you're constantly going to learn. Tell the customer through your message how you can help them. Now, a nifty way to help you stay focused on your customer is essentially creating personas. Now, personas, I've just gone forward a little bit too early. I'm going to flick back. Let me talk to you about personas. Now, essentially what personas are, they define your most important customer segments, their motivations, desires, and thinking patterns. Now, your customer personas define they're essentially the ones that need your business the most and the ones you can best look after. Now, by creating personas, you're able to understand your customer motivation, desires, and thinking patterns. Now, in doing this, you're better equipped to tailor your products and services to meet their needs. So let's say your persona, her name's Jane. She's a 35-year-old mother based on Central Coast, or in this instance, Port Stephens. She's looking for family-friendly accommodation offering not too far away. Then if you're an accommodation provider, you would have one customer segment known as families. If you're a landscaper, on the other hand, or a small business gardener, one of your customer segments may be new home builds or seniors living at home. So next up is the value proposition, which are the products and services that create value for the specific customer segment. It's the reason why customers choose you over someone else and is one of the most critical things to get right. Essentially, value proposition is just a fancy term for your promise. So once you've understood your audience and their needs, it's important to make sure that your promise is meaningful, clear, and helps solve the needs of your customers. What is the product or service you're offering and how does it meet the needs and create value for your customers? This is what the customer wants to hear. And the best way to get clear on this is talk to your customers or potential customers and ask them and take this feedback along with your learnings from your dealings with them to create your value proposition. Asking customers once isn't enough. It should be something you should be doing as everyday practice in your business. Even when you think that you completely nailed it and you really understand your customers, their needs change. So whatever you do, like I said, don't assume you know. This is where businesses run into trouble. They think they know and they end up creating an offering to suit what they want and wonder why they're not succeeding. So what is the product or service you're offering and how does it meet the needs and create value for your customer? This is what your brand is and what your customer wants to hear. A value proposition creates value for a customer segment through a distinct mix of elements catering to the segment's needs. Values may be quantitative, such as price or speed of service, or qualitative, such as design or customer experience. Moving to your channels now, and these are the ways we communicate and reach customer segments to deliver the value proposition. They're the main customer touchpoints which play a role in the customer journey. Channels serve several functions in delivering a value proposition to customers, raising awareness among customers about your business products and services, allowing customers to purchase something, helping customers to evaluate your value proposition, and finally, providing post-purchase customer support. Channels can be both direct and indirect, and owned or partner channels. Channels have 5 distinct phases and can cover some or all of them, and they include awareness, evaluation, purchase, delivery, and after sales. So from these channels, we move into the customer relationships created with your customer segments. So the 4 boxes of customer segments, value proposition, channels, and customer relationships work collaboratively and they overlap. Imagine interconnected arrows into each box. Customer relationships can be driven by the following motivations of customer acquisition, customer retention, and boosting sales. That's essentially your upselling. Another way to look at this is how do you get your customers, how do you keep your customers, and how do you grow your customers? As a business, you need to determine the types of relationships that you want to establish with each customer segment. Each relationship formed based on your business model will deeply influence their customer experience. So some examples of customer relationships include personal assistance, self-service, loyalty program, and nothing, absolutely nothing beats good old-fashioned, intuitive and consistent customer service. So now we move into the revenue streams. Now, essentially, that's the strategies used to extract the value from your customer segments. So based on your identified customer segments, you'll be able to identify what they're truly willing to pay based on your value proposition. So as a business model, it can involve 2 different revenue streams. Firstly, one-time customer payments, and secondly, recurring revenues resulting from ongoing payments, like monthly subscriptions, say. This way they to deliver a value proposition or provide post-purchase customer support. Each revenue stream may have different pricing mechanisms, such as fixed price lists, volume dependency, market dependency, bargaining, auctioning, or yield management. Some examples of ways to generate revenue streams can include licensing and advertising, subscription fees, usage fees, asset sales, and leasing. So next up are the key things that make your business model work: your resources, activities, and partners. So we're going to start with key resources. They are the most important assets you need to operate your business. Every business model needs resources. So they can be physical, financial, intellectual, or human. So physical resources are the assets such as the buildings, vehicles, machines, distribution networks, manufacturing facilities, point of sale systems, and other systems. Financial resources are those that include cash flow and lines of credit, for instance. Intellectual resources are the things that make your business yours. So these include proprietary knowledge, your IP, brands, partnerships, customer databases, patents, and copyrights. These are incredibly important components of having a strong business model. And finally, human resources, which are required for every business, but are prominent in certain business models in knowledge-intensive or creative industries. Different key resources are needed depending on the type of business model and can be owned by the company, leased, or acquired from key partners. So the key activities now are those things that you need to do to make your business operate. So it's often the one part of the planning where the detail is overlooked, but a critical element to successful business planning and operations. So like key resources, these activities are required to create and offer your value proposition, reach markets across channels, maintain customer relationships, and earn revenue. So key activities can be either production or problem solving. Essentially, these are things that you and your staff do in your business. Production activities are those which relate to designing, making, and delivering a product or service in quantities and quality. Problem-solving activities are those which relate to coming up with new solutions to customer problems. And the not so exciting part of the business, and what a lot of business owners love to avoid, are the administrative tasks. But they need to be captured here too in the key activities. HR, invoicing, bookkeeping, marketing, experience development, maintenance, and cleaning tasks. I might be a bit of a nerd, but I really, really love those administrative tasks. All right, now moving on to key partners. Now the key partners refer to the networks of suppliers and partnerships that you need to make your business work. So some examples include strategic alliances between non-competitors, cooperation, so that's the strategic partnerships between competitors, joint ventures to develop new businesses, and buyer-supplier relationships to assure a reliable supply chain. Partners are important to optimize your business model. They reduce the risk or help you acquire resources. Now, the final box is the cost structures. Now, that's the cost incurred to operate this business. Creating and delivering value, maintaining customer relationships, and generating revenue, they all incur costs. So these can be calculated relatively easily once key resources, activities, and partnerships are confirmed. So generally, there are two cost structures: cost-driven and value-driven. Cost-driven business models focus on minimizing costs wherever possible, for example, a budget airline. Value-driven are those businesses that are less concerned with the cost implications of a business model design and instead focus on value creation, for example, a luxury resort. Now, what you want to do is you want to look at your cost structures as either fixed or variable. Fixed costs are those that remain the same despite the volume of goods or services produced. These include salaries and rents, for instance. Variable costs, on the other hand, are those that vary proportionally with the volume of goods and services produced. So there is also cost advantages that a business enjoys as its output expands. These are called economies of scale, and economies of scope, which are cost advantages due to a larger scope of operations. So these are the 9 boxes of the business model canvas. What we've put up here is an example just to bring you back to the canvas that we showed you to show you one that's been filled in. So this here is one that's been filled in by Airbnb to show that businesses of all size, shapes, and age can use the business model canvas. Now, we know that Port Stephens is well known for tourism, so this is why I would use the Airbnb example, but business model canvas, just to absolutely make really clear, is used widely across small to medium-sized businesses across industries globally. So you can see here that they've broken up their customer segments into two key segments of guests and hosts, and then they've got their micro segmentation. They've got their customer relationships in terms of in relation to their customer segments, the channels, and the value proposition. And you'll see here they've broken up the value proposition in relation to the customer segments. That's really important because, as I mentioned earlier, the customer segments will have different value propositions. Sometimes they will cross over, but it's really important to understand the differences. We then move over here to key activities, key resources, and key partners. So you can see the detail there. And then finally, like every business, this is their revenue structures, and then over here, their cost structures. All right. So that includes our breakdown of the business model canvas. Now, a recap on what we've covered off today: avoiding business planning mistakes, don't overcook it, and finally, get your thoughts out of your head and into a practical plan. Now, following this webinar, you will receive a link to access the related materials so that you can take these learnings and apply them to your business. This includes the Business Model Canvas template tool for you to use, as well as support material to guide you. Now, as we wrap up, I just want to say thank you so much for your time and joining me today. I really appreciate how important your time is as a fellow small business. I totally get it. My contact details are up here on the slide, and please feel free to get in touch with me if you have any questions as you work through the business model canvas. Please don't be shy, and no question is a silly question. We're here to help, and us small businesses, we need to stick together. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar.
Thank you, Giovanna. That was fantastic. And thank you for your time contributing to the growth of small business across Port Stephens. If you have any additional questions for Giovanna, just pop over to the meeting hub and catch up with her at a time that suits. We'll see you in the next session. Thank you.